Hello children, how are you all? I hope you are all doing fine and I am sure you are waiting for this class, aren't you? Yes children, I welcome you all to the prose lesson, The Best Advice I Ever Had, written by Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. So, we are continuing the lesson that what we had done in the previous class children. Now, are you ready with your writing material and your textbooks? Yes, very good children. Now, let us begin our class. Now, why don't we begin our class with the assignment that was given to you all. The assignment was answer the following question. So, the first question was why Mrs. Pandit did not want to meet her relatives. The second question was how did Gandhiji's advice help Mrs. Pandit in both the instances in the lesson. Children, for these questions we will answer them during the highlights of the lesson. Now, we will move on to the third task that was given, that is dictionary work. So, you had to complete the words beginning with RE, which mean the phrases given against each of them. So, let us see the first phrase, make a decision. Now, here make a decision means resolve. Second question, state that one is unwilling to do something. Now, what is it? It is refuse. Take revenge or hit back. It is retaliate. And the fourth one, feel bitter about. It is resent. Now, I hope you have done that homework children. Now, let us begin today's class with an activity children. Now, the activity is you have to classify the following qualities into desirable and undesirable qualities. Now, let me give you those words, write down those words and then we will classify the words. Are you ready? Yes. Now, the first word is galling. Galling means annoying. Next one, sincere, difficult, quarrelsome, hysterical. Hysterical means being crazy or acting in a very weird way. Advantageous means being favorable. Decent, prestigious means respectable, humble, significant, harmful, courteous means being polite, bitter and diplomatic. So, diplomatic means being tactful, that is not harming anybody through our words or feelings. Okay? Now, why don't you put all these words, you classify all these words into desirable and undesirable qualities. Yes, are you all doing it? Now, shall we check your answer then? Yes. First, we shall see the undesirable qualities children. They are galling, difficult, quarrelsome, hysterical, bitter and harmful. Now, I have put all these in this container. You know why? Because these are undesirable qualities which we should never use and it is harmful for our character. So, now we will move on to desirable qualities. So, which are they? So, they are humble, sincere, decent, prestigious, diplomatic, courteous, advantageous and significant. So, children, these are desirable qualities. So, these are like the petals of this flower which add beauty to our character. So, have you all got both desirable and undesirable qualities correctly? Yes? Very good children. Awesome. You have done a good job. Now, children, let us move on to the highlights of the previous class what we did. So, as you know, so this lesson the best advice I ever had is an article written by Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. And in this lesson, she talks about two incidents. So, previous class we saw two incidents that she narrates or she shares with us. So, let us see which is that incident. So, the first one is Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit's husband had died recently and her deep sorrow was followed by humiliating realization that in the eyes of Indian law, she had no individual existence. Although she had worked along with the freedom fighters for freedom, she did not have any individual existence. Then she also feels that as she was a widow without a son, she was not entitled to any share of the family property, nor were her two daughters. So, she feels very bitter towards those members of a family who supported this antiquated law, means outdated law, and so she stops talking to them. So, but Gandhiji made her realize that forgiving others is the only way to keep us in peace. So, after hearing the advice of Gandhiji, she visited her relatives before going to America to attend a conference. She goes to her relatives and she makes peace with them. So, she felt as if a great burden had been lifted off her and that she was free to be herself. So, here let us come back to the first question, children, that I gave you as homework. What was that? Why Mrs. Pandit did not want to meet her relatives? Now, what is the answer? Yes, she did not want to meet her relatives because they were not ready to give her the property that she was entitled to, and that is why she did not want to meet her relatives. Now, let us move on to the second incident. So, Mrs. Pandit goes to New York in America. So, as a leader of the Indian delegation to the United Nations to resolve about India's complaint regarding the treatment of people of Indian origin in South Africa. There, when the issues came up, her opponents made personal attacks harmful to India's prestige and to her. So, do you think Mrs. Pandit would keep quiet? No, she retaliated with the same harsh words. Then, Mrs. Pandit suddenly thought of Gandhiji's advice. So, you know Gandhiji always followed the path of non-violence. So, she felt that he would never have approved to her way of retaliation. For him, means had to be as good as the end. That is, the method we follow to achieve our goal is more important than our results itself. And so, what she did? So, from then on, Mrs. Pandit refrained from any personal attacks and concentrated on the original issue. The opponents followed her, and from then on, the case was argued on its merits only. So, in this way, Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit resolved the situation. Now, your second question was, how did Gandhiji's advice help Mrs. Pandit? Yes, she was able to resolve her situation here with the opponents, and also she could make peace with her relatives. So, which also helped her in return, isn't it, children? Now, let us move on to the next part of the lesson, children. For that, let us read the lesson. So, are you ready with your textbooks? Yes. So, let us read the lesson. His words have helped me retain perspective even in small matters. Many women, I imagine, share with me a recurring nightmare. Someone important to you is coming to dine. The guests have arrived. It is time to eat, but there is no dinner. You wake, perspiring, relieved to find it is only a dream, but recently it really happened to me. My guest of honor, the Prime Minister of Great Britain and Lady Eden, could hardly have been more important to me. High Commissioner for India in the United Kingdom. I had planned everything meticulously, from the menu to the color scheme of the flowers and the candles. When the guests had arrived and drinks had been passed twice, I signaled the butler to announce dinner. But still we waited when, for the third time, drinks came round. I excused myself and ran downstairs to the kitchen. It presented a shocking sight. In one corner stood a frightened little kitchen maid, in another the housekeeper. At the table sat my cook, waving a ladle and singing, beating time with his foot. His eyes were glazed and he was far away in some other sphere. The table was littered with the pieces of chicken. My knees felt too weak to support me, but I asked in as normal a voice as I could command, "Why isn't the dinner ready?" "But it is ready, madam," my cook chanted. "All ready. Everybody, sit down, sit down." I was furious. It was on the tip of my tongue to say, "Get out, you're dismissed," when I thought of the counsel that had calmed me so many times. If I lost control, I would only hurt myself. I pulled myself together. "Let's get something on the table," I said. Everyone pitched in. The food served wasn't quite what the menu described, but when I told my guests what had happened, there was a chorus of surprise. "If this is what your cook gives you when he is drunk," someone exclaimed, "what must he provide sober?" The relief in my laughter must have sounded a little hysterical. My perspective restored. I realized that a dinner party, however important, is not the pivot of existence. To retain a sense of proportion is as important as being able to keep one's heart free from hatred. For all of us, no matter what our work, the advice Gandhiji gave me is meaningful. No one can harm you but yourself. Now children, you just listen to the reading, isn't it? Now, let's study this sentence, children. Now look at this picture, children. Sometimes you need to look at life from different perspective. Now look at the second sentence and this picture, children. What are the children doing? Students worked meticulously for their science project. So now please make a note of this word meticulously and try to get the meaning of it. Third one. Nowadays we find different types of ladles in the market. So you can see different colors of ladle, isn't it? Now, so what is the meaning of ladle? You can make it out. There was a glazed look in his eyes. Now look at his eyes, it's all glazed. The scientist became almost hysterical when his experiment was unsuccessful. So you can see his expression on his face. Now children, match the following words with their meaning. So let me give you those words that we saw in the sentence there. First one, perspective, meticulously, ladle, glazed and hysterical. Now let me give jumbled meaning of these words. Carefully, blank or dull, crazy, a large size spoon, outlook. Now match these words, children. Yes? Have you done it? Shall we check the answer? Yes? So, perspective, meticulously, ladle, glazed and hysterical. So, now let us see the meaning, children. So, the meaning of perspective is outlook or point of view. Meticulously means being carefully. Ladle means a large size spoon. Glazed means to look blank or dull. Hysterical means crazy. Yes, have you all got this answers correctly? Yes, most of you? Very good. Now children, let us understand the lesson that we have read through some questions. I will ask you a few questions and you have to tell me the answers for them. Are you ready? Yes. His words have helped me retain perspective even in small matters. Who does his refer to? Yes, it refers to Gandhiji. Here, whom did Mrs. Pandit invite for dinner? As the High Commissioner for India in the United Kingdom, Mrs. Pandit had invited Prime Minister of Great Britain, Anthony Eden and Lady Eden for dinner. So, how did she plan for the dinner? Mrs. Pandit had planned everything meticulously, from the menu to the color scheme of the flowers and the candles. So, was the dinner served on time? Is it yes or no? No, it wasn't. So, Mrs. Pandit ran to the kitchen. So, what was the shocking view she saw in the kitchen there, and why do you think the food was delayed? Yes, in one corner stood a frightened little kitchen maid. In another, the housekeeper, and the cook was drunk. So, what was Mrs. Pandit's reaction? She was very furious. She wanted to shout at the cook and dismiss him immediately. But she thought of the counsel of Gandhiji that had calmed her so many times and calmed herself. So, what was the counsel of Gandhiji? Yes, that is, if she lost control, she would only hurt herself. So, how did she handle the situation then? Yes, she pulled herself together. The immediate thing to be done was to provide food for the guest. Therefore, she asked the others in the kitchen to cooperate. All of them did, and though the menu described was different, food could still be served. So, what do you infer from about the relationship between Mrs. Pandit and Gandhiji from reading this lesson, children? Yes, the relationship between Mrs. Pandit and Gandhiji was that of a father and daughter. His advice had constantly helped her in every situation. So, here Gandhiji said, no one can harm you but yourself. What is the meaning of this? Yes, it means we are responsible for our own happiness and sorrows. No one can harm you but yourself. So, what is the meaning of this statement given by Gandhiji, children? Yes, it means that we are responsible for our happiness and sorrows. So, we need not blame anybody else for it. All those situations are bad. So, here somebody says unhappiness is not because of the problems. Unhappiness is because of the way we respond to it. And so, we have to be always positive in any situation, children. Now, which are the advices given by Gandhiji to Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit? Yeah, the first advice was forgiving others is the only way to keep us in peace. Only when we forgive others, we can stay in peace. Secondly, the path which we choose to fight a problem is more important than our results. So, sometimes we think fighting is the best option, but here in the lesson we saw only when we speak calmly we can resolve any situation. Thirdly, never to do anything that injures our self-respect, and to be humble, and that no one can harm us except ourselves. Now children, let's move on to some of the language items that we come across in this lesson children. Now, in the previous class we saw formation of nouns. Now here let's see formation of adverbs. Now how do we form adverbs? Here, most of the adverbs can be formed by adding the suffix ly to verbs, adjectives and some nouns. Now let's take an example. Now look at the word complete. We are adding ly to the word complete and it has become completely. So here you know complete is a verb, and when you add ly to it, it becomes an adverb. Next, see, slight plus ly has become slightly. Here you know slight is an adjective. So when you add the suffix ly to it, it became slightly and that is an adverb. Now third one, king plus ly is kingly. Here you know king is a noun, and when you add the suffix ly to it, it has become an adverb. So this way you can form the adverbs. Now children, here is an activity. You have to choose the right word and rewrite the following sentences. The first one is, Bill is a careful or carefully driver. So which is the right word here children? Is it careful or carefully? Yes, have you thought of your answer? Now let's check your answer children. So the answer must be careful because we are talking about Bill here, and so it should be careful. Second one, can you repeat that slow or slowly? So which one is the right word? Yes, slowly would be the right word because here you are talking about the action of repeating, and so slowly is the right word. Third one, come on George, why are you always so slow or slowly? So children, be careful here. Is it slow or slowly? Yes, here it is slow because here we are talking about George, the noun, and so it is slow. So slow is an adjective, isn't it? Fourth one, our team played bad or badly. Yes. Yes children, have you thought your answer? Yes, the answer is badly because we are talking about how they played. We are talking about the way they played. So they played badly. Good children. Good work. Now let's go to formation of the verbs. Now we can see that new verbs can form by adding a prefix or a suffix to different words. Now for example, now look at this word courage. Okay. So here when we add the prefix n, it becomes encourage. So the word courage has become the verb encourage. Now look at the word force. So when we add n to it, it became enforce, the verb enforce. Next, when you add prefix to the word prison, it became imprison, the verb imprison. So all these encourage, enforce, imprison are all verbs. Now we can also form verbs with the help of suffixes. For example, memory. So when you add ize to it, it became memorize. Same way, active, when you add ate, it became activate. In the same way, sympathy, when you add ized, it became sympathize. Got it children? Yes. Now what you should do is, you have to use these verbs in the sentences. Now see, courage. So the verb form is encourage, of courage. Now why don't you make a sentence here children? Now look at this children, what are they doing? They are doing something creative, they are cutting, they are doing some craft things or making a project. So you could say we should encourage our students to be creative. Next children, force, the verb form is enforce. So, here look at police. So, you could say government makes laws and the police enforce them. Thirdly, memory. So, the verb form of memory is memorize. So, you could say here if the teacher is asking the children, what is she doing? The teacher asks the students to memorize the poem. Yes children. Now, see the last one, sympathy. So, the verb form has become sympathize. Here you can see such a sad state of affair here during flood in Assam. No? So, you could say many people sympathized with people who lost their homes during flood in Assam. Now, you all learnt how to change the verb form, isn't it? Now, let us fill and complete the following table by filling the empty columns. Now, let me give you the column children. Now, look at this column children. Here under adverb we have powerfully, under verb we have care, under adjective we have expressive, isn't it? So, now what are you supposed to do? Now, let us take an example. Look at this word agreement, it is a noun. So, the verb form of agreement is agree and the adjective form is agreeable and the adverb form of agreement is agreeably. So, in the same way, now you have to fill in the missing blocks there. So, what is the noun form of powerfully? Yes, it is power or power. The verb form is empower and the adjective form is powerful. Now, let us see what is the noun form for care. For care, it is care itself. So, verb form they have already given, it is care. So, adjective form is careful and adverb form is carefully. So, let us take the fourth one. So, under adjective column we already have the word expressive. So, now let us see the noun form. So, the noun form is expression, express, under verb and under adverb it becomes expressively. So, did you understand how the words take different forms when it plays different roles in a sentence, isn't it? Now, children, you have done a good job. Now, why don't we use words as nouns and verbs? Now, you have to identify whether the word used is a verb or a noun. Here, every drop of water is precious. Now, Rani drops me to office every day in the car. So, here in the first sentence, what is dropped there? Yeah, it is a noun and here drops is a verb because it is showing an action there. Now, let us take another example. So, you can see here walking is good for health. Children walked happily back to their school. Here what is walking here? It is a name of exercise and so it is a noun. And here walked is a verb here because it is showing the action done by the children there, isn't it? So, children, we have come to the end of this class. So, what are the values that we learned through this lesson? Yes, we learned forgiving others is the only way to keep us in peace. The path we choose to fight our problems is more important than our results and no one can harm us except ourselves. Now, children, let us come to the assignment part. So, you have to comment on the title of the lesson with respect to Mrs. Pandit's experience in the different situation in her life. The second question is, pick out the adverbs used in the lesson and frame sentences using them. Thirdly, make a list of advices you have received in your life. Yes, children, with this we have come to the end of our class. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you, children.